Hi, guys. Welcome to the Power Network. I'm Amy. Today, we're talking about Iryna Zarutska, a 23-year-old who escaped Putin's bombs in Kyiv only to have her life cut short on a U.S. train. Her story deserves to be told. And yesterday, we lost Charlie Kirk, shot and killed while speaking at a college event. Whatever you thought about him, his death sends shockwaves through the country. The question I have is what's happening in the United States? We once stood for freedom of thought and person, and now it feels like we're watching that foundation crack. And also today we have a guest with us, Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's good that you're here.
Big events have been happening in the media, and it's just tragic. And I feel it more so this morning when I woke up. I guess I was kind of, yesterday I was really upset about it. And I don't know these people personally, but it's the ideals, the American ideals and everything that's, and it's just tragic. I don't know. I hate to see the violence,
Yeah, and I had just found Charlie Kirk. I just watched a video of him, like, I don't know, like 4 days ago, even that. And I didn't agree with everything he said, but he made a lot of really good points. And he was a really good debater. He's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to watch him a lot, maybe a year or so ago. And
Did you?
yeah, he did a video. Supposedly he did a strong video, and I haven't watched it yet, but on the young woman that we're talking about today. He had
Oh,
a strong opinion on it. Yeah.
wow.
I'll have to
Okay,
watch it.
so let's talk about Iryna first, and then we'll go into Charlie, because I had planned Iryna, and then Charlie happened yesterday. And I just have some things on Charlie. I'm pretty new to him, but Iryna, I had heard a little bit about. Had you heard about her before?
Before this, I've been the past 4 to 5 days just
Yeah.
became big in the not the mainstream media, because it wasn't really reported on there from what I understand widely. It was more so independent YouTubers and journalists.
For those that don't know what we're talking about Iryna Zarutska. She was 23 years old. She was from Kyiv, Ukraine. Her background, she fled Kyiv in 2022 after surviving Russian bombings. She came to the US as a refugee. She earned a degree in art, or she did earn a degree in art and restoration back home, but she was studying English at a community college here while working at a local pizzeria. And I think she wanted to be a vet assistant.
She volunteered with animals, I believe they were
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. She's just a good person.
Yeah.
This happened on August 22nd, 2025, and it was on a Charlotte Lynx Blue Line light rail. And within minutes of the ride, a man who you see on the screen was seated behind her, suddenly pulled a sharp object, we can't say it on YouTube, and put it into her neck, which included a fatal wound to the neck. And she died right there on the scene with nobody helping her and everybody just kind of ignoring it, which is makes it 10 times worse, I think.
Yes.
The suspect was DeCarlos Brown Jr. He was 34 years old. He has a long criminal history, multiple arrests. He faced charges for a violent offense before. He has some gang ties. We do have a Jumpsuit Pablo did an interview on him about him yesterday. Jumpsuit did time in South Carolina prisons and talks about how he's not going to make it in prison, but not for the reasons you think. The charges are first degree unaliving. Federal charges they think are coming because it was a violent act on a mass transportation system, although I think it did come.
I think so.
And yeah. And so Iryna's family, they contacted her immediately and they wanted to arrange for her body to be flown back to them. But they said that Iryna loved the United States so much that they wanted her to be buried here. Mm-hmm. And they don't want us to focus on the violence. They want us to focus on justice for Iryna, her dignity, and to make transit safety reforms so this doesn't happen again. So that's a little background, you guys, if you hadn't heard of Iryna. And I thought we could start off showing a little video of it happening. Have you seen the video of it happening?
I've seen a few different POVs of it, like different sides.
It happens so quick, you guys. So he's sitting behind her, just looking at her, and then he stands up, and it goes so fast. And he just walks by her. You can see the blood here, and then you can see the blood on the.
I didn't see that before. I was like, where is it? I didn't know if it didn't come in the front. I wasn't sure if she was just like in shock, you think? I saw the video of the actual thing happening, and it was worse than I thought. I did not see that.
So it's horrible, isn't it? I just can't even believe. Here's a news report on it. This is Brian Enteman talking about it.
Channel, I really appreciate it. Please click to subscribe. I'm looking into this awful, awful tragedy in Charlotte. This young woman from Ukraine just riding home from work on the train, on public transportation when she's brutally stabbed. I've been going over the video.
Reportedly, he's schizophrenic and a judge let him out. He shouldn't even been walking the streets.
No way.
But mental illness is a reason, but it's not an excuse, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
The suspect's criminal history and mental health history. A lot of people enraged that this guy was out. I'm digging into all of it, including the new federal charges in this episode of Brian Enton Investigates. Hey guys, I'm actually in Albuquerque.
So what we'll do is we'll stop and start things and we'll talk through it. But everything that we viewed in today's live, I will put down in the YouTube show notes. We do this for fair play use and to cite our sources. Everything is our opinion. We urge you to go out there and do your own research, and we encourage free thought here. I might say something, Lindsay might say something that you don't agree with, and that's fine. You might say something we don't agree with, and that's fine. We encourage open speech here, as long as it's respectful. So, and it's what we're talking about basically today, because I feel like that's being destroyed by people who think it's okay to attack others just because you don't agree with who they are. It has been reported that this is a racial attack. I have heard that he said that he did it because he unalived this white girl. So it is being reported. Yeah.
Got that girl.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to put that, because I wanted to put it in that term, but I was kind of had to reword it so that it was like basically she came to the United States and was unalived, not because of her color, but I do believe it was because of her color. Do you believe it was?
Honestly, yeah. Do I want to stay neutral and say, do I really know? Yes and no. I mean, what good is that doing? I want to be honest and say, yeah, he said afterwards, I got that white girl on the other side of the train. And then people then rushed to her, but it was too late.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like we've reached a point in the United States, at least, I can't say for all countries, where because of slavery, it's very hard to talk about racial issues, especially if you're white, because then you're labeled a racist. When I don't think that this is good behavior for any race. If a white person did that and said, I got that black person or that whatever, it would be wrong. So it is wrong for him to say these things, and we shouldn't allow it on either side, or just allow it and because I believe in freedom of speech and just know that it's not truth, right?
Right. I think it's important. I did talk about this last night on my live stream, and I had a guest that she's not on either side of the political, the spectrum necessarily. She's pulled out from all of it, and she had a more neutral view than a lot of people watching. But I think, and she had said it wasn't highly reported on because of the fact that the victim was white, she believes, and I can't say that I completely disagree at all.
I'm not on either side anymore. I used to be a Democrat, and after I've seen the way both sides act, and I think both sides are evil. I think it takes a certain kind of person to be in politics and to make those type of decisions. And I think they've pitted us against each other, and so that it's become an all-out war. I do believe it's just the elites against us, basically.
I said that last night. Exactly. I totally believe that. It's crazy.
But I do believe that there is such a thing that's happening, and I'm just speaking for the United States. I can't speak for the world, but there is such a thing as white fatigue that's happening in the United States, where everything can't be because of white people, and everything we have to be able to talk about our problems too. The same thing is happening to our males. We took away their ability to express who they are, and who they are. Men should be masculine. I mean, that they are born with these hormones that make them a certain way. Women are born, and not saying that they're more or less than us, but we are different human beings. Male and females are different, and we've taken away their ability to be masculine in a lot of ways. And so we're faced with a lot of problems right now, and a lot of it stems from, if you want to put it, and this is just my opinion, the Democrats have created where it's just as dangerous if you're a Democrat to speak against these things as if you were, they'll call you a Republican, or they'll call you this, or you're that. And I'm like, well, fine, I'm neither. I'm nothing. I am an independent, free thinker. You're not going to make me believe. And it used to be where it was okay to believe how you believe and still get along. But I don't know.
No, it's so polarized. It's insane. I mean, I didn't follow politics when I was younger, only the last maybe 6-7 years, but just in that time, like it's spiraled even worse. And I couldn't imagine it doing that.
I've always followed politics. Like I voted, I couldn't vote my first election because I turned 18. My birthday often falls on election day. And I turned 18 just a few days before election day, and they wouldn't let me vote because I wasn't allowed to register until you turn 18, and I hadn't registered in time. So I voted when I was in college, and my first president I ever voted for was Bill Clinton. And I mean, we had a party where we took the room and we split it down the middle, and people sat on the side that they were voting on, and it was like we cheered when we got a state, and it was just a party, and it was a lot of fun. And I feel like colleges should be where you're free thinking, you're learning new thoughts. It should be a place where it's safe to talk about these things and not get shot.
Yeah. I think that was the whole beauty of what he was trying to do, is to bring that back into the colleges, because it seems as if, there was a lot of, more left-wing kind of, I don't want to say it like that. I don't know how to put it. Left-leaning.
Yeah, it is. Colleges tend to go more left unless you're at like a Brigham Young University or something, but colleges tend to lean right, and teachers tend or left, and teachers tend to lean left. But I think that, I mean, my college experience, it was an important time for me. I learned a lot. There were racial riots in my college. There was the Ku Klux Klan was driving through. Some of the college students had to go. They went on Sally Jesse Raphael. They excused exams for the Black students one year because it was so racially charged. Fires were being set. But in the next town, there was a sign that said, "Black men don't let the sun set on your head." I was in a podunk, Michigan town, and I would, if I were Black, my roommate was Black, and I was terrified for her. But this was the 90s. I mean, we were fighting for different things in the 90s than I think they're fighting now. And
yes, I think so
it
too.
was, I guess I just explained how dangerous it could be on college campuses, but
I know, it's like you never expect that, but it's like, it's possible, and especially because of how everything is these days more and more, but it's still like I don't want to believe that, that would happen. It's like I want to think better of people, but
I do too. It breaks my heart. I do want to think better of people.
I know.
Okay, well, getting back to Iryna, so we have Brian Entenmann reporting a bit on her.
Albuquerque, New Mexico right now, working on a story for News Nation. I've been sort of all over this week, but I've also been closely following just this terrible, terrible tragedy out of Charlotte, North Carolina. The minute I saw the video, I just started looking into it. This young woman from the Ukraine who was brutally stabbed and killed on light rail transit in Charlotte. Her name is, it's Iryna Zarutska. She had recently come to the U.S. from Ukraine.
And he did it 4 times.
Was it 4 times?
4 times.
Oh my God. It was really fast. I saw.
Yeah. And it was hidden. Look how hidden it is. It's only like hardly hanging out right there.
I know.
War with Russia. That's what her family says. Zarutska started working immediately after she got her work permit. Sounds just like a wonderful young woman, helping at a senior citizen center and a pizza place, taking care of neighborhood animals. She was coming home from work on a light rail train when she was brutally murdered. And now there are federal charges. That's new. Just with today, the U.S. attorney in Charlotte held a news conference to announce that not only are there state murder charges against the man who did this, but there are also federal charges now. The whole thing was caught on video. The charge now is Title 18, Section 1992A7. It's a law Congress passed called the Act of Violence on a Mass Transportation System. And the way the U.S. attorney described it.
What do you think about that, Lindsay? Do you think that's a good thing that they're doing that?
Honestly, yeah. I think that it should be enhanced with those charges, the federal charges. And I don't know when they exactly made them, but when Congress added those in, but I don't disagree with them at all. I mean, because it strikes terror in all of us, especially because that's why I think this is such a significant thing that happened, is because that could be any of us. It's on a mass transit.
I know. It terrifies me because I have been considering using, I have anxiety and I need to get to some places, and I've been considering using it, but now, no, I would not. It would just, I couldn't now. Although maybe now it's going to be more safe because sometimes it takes something like this to happen.
Maybe. I was thinking that the parents did say something about wanting more security, and hopefully that officials will look into that. And I think that's great if they will do that. I mean, I guess we can hope, right? Yeah.
Is because acts like this affect the American way, a random act like this in a mass transportation system, ways that we get to work in school, that this crime makes people scared to get on the light rail, that is the reason that this is now considered a federal crime also, in addition to the state murder charges. And this federal crime does potentially carry the punishment of the death penalty. So it's quite significant. It's happened 9:55, August 22nd. There was first a stabbing call that there was a stabbing on a light rail train. The wounds were actually on the neck and hand of this young woman, and they found a pocket knife on the scene. There's surveillance video that shows her getting on the train by herself. She's still in her work uniform. Just happened to be sitting down in front of The suspect, his name is DeCarlos Brown Jr., and you see him open the pocket knife, stabs her 3 times in the neck, and then walks off the train with blood dripping off the knife. Again, this young woman, Iryna, just sounds like an incredible woman, graduated with a degree in art and restoration. She was living in a bomb shelter in Ukraine, wanted a better life, and moved to the United States and ended up in Charlotte. And now this awful tragedy happened. The embassy in Ukraine reportedly called to get her body, but her family has said that she loved America so much that that they've decided to have her buried here in the United States. So this is the part that's really enraging, is when you look back at the suspect's criminal history. And again, his name is DeCarlos Brown Jr. He's been arrested 14 times. And there's obviously questions now about how a repeat offender with documented mental health issues was able to remain free and allegedly go on to commit this murder. Brown has a criminal history spanning over a decade, including felony breaking and entering. There was robbery with a dangerous weapon, all sorts of prison sentences. He served a 5-year prison sentence for that. Then in April 2014, Brown pleaded guilty to 2 2013 charges of felony larceny. A judge suspended his sentence of 5 years to just 15 months in prison. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was his sentence of 5 to 15 months in prison. Instead, he was ordered to serve 2 years probation, so avoided prison there. 4 months into his probation, robbed a man, they say. Brown robbed a man in an apartment complex in South Carolina. Apparently was, surveying the complex for an hour before approaching the man. He had a handgun, demanded the victim's phone and money. I mean, that's who this guy is. Pleaded guilty to robbery with a dangerous weapon. February 2015, he was sentenced to a minimum of 6 years and 1 month and a maximum of 8 years and 4 months in prison. And he served 5 years and 7 months before being released that time. Spent a year on parole. So many mugshots with this guy. A year later, in September 2022, he was again arrested on charges of assault on a female and injury to property. A year and a half later, April 2024, arrested for misusing 911. Posted a $500 secured bond, was charged with the same offense 2 weeks later. And again in January and in May, the Magistrate Judge Teresa Stokes released Brown this was on January 19th, the same day he was arrested, on a written promise to appear, which I'm going to explain in a second. A written promise to appear, essentially saying that if he signs this form, he just has to promise to come back to court, which is kind of strange when you think about his long criminal history, that they were trusting him to come back. But that's what they did. He was supposed to present himself to Alliance Health, which is contracted with the jail to be evaluated within 7 days of another order that came up involving his mental health. And if that order was followed, he would have been evaluated just weeks before this brutal stabbing. So the bottom line is, like so many of the cases that I cover,
so you can see he had a long history, and like what he said, there were warning signs.
Yeah.
Wasn't there such a thing? I don't know if it's deemed unconstitutional, but wasn't there a 3 strikes and you're done law, or is that done? Was that?
I think it's certain states and certain charges. I know it's in Florida on like robbery, I believe, and certain gun charges. I have to look it up, but it was years ago, and it's called habitual. It's like a habitual charge. If it's 3 or more. It's like heavier sentence. And robberies in Florida are PBL. They're punishable by life. And that's like 20 years plus, So it's like, and they can actually they'll give you a life sentence, they can.
Really?
Yeah.
Those that don't know, Lindsay did a year. Was it a year?
Yeah. 12.6 months. So a year. It was just a weird
Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that maybe this guy should have qualified for something like this, even though they were petty and little. It was just over and over and over.
Yeah. I think the bigger conversation comes into play now. And I do believe it was this gentleman, Brian, that you're watching now. His name's Brian, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did watch him yesterday. I don't remember if it was this video or another one, but he talked about how he did some videos on the no cash bail, and I'd like to watch those and delve into that more, because I knew about how, they are letting them out on no cash bail and letting him out on a quote written promise, and it's essentially like in Florida we have that where it's ROR, release on own recognizance, and you have to whether you're on released and you have to go to the jail every so often and get drug tested or see someone. Some are weekly, some are monthly. It all depends on the charges. Then, they need to really assess. Like I think my sentences were appropriate. Like I thought I got away with stuff and I really didn't. It was way more than a lot of states. So I don't disagree with that either. I think that any kind of charges like this should be taken very seriously, especially the mental health component. They just, he didn't even go before, and then they let him out. They should have had him, in my opinion, they should have had him do that while he's in there. There's psychiatrists in there. That's all. Like,
they can refuse psych, but don't let him out. Like he was let out a few years early. If he refuses it, don't let him out.
Because it's like, I mean, it's a danger to society, and like that's kind of, at this point, I feel like there's a pattern, that they should be able to, understand what's going on.
Let me see if I can find what
Was it no cash bail?
It says that regarding the unaliving of the Ukraine refugee in North Carolina, her accused killer, DeCarlos Brown Jr., was not released on no cash bail. Instead, a magistrate had previously released him with a written promise to appear for a much less serious charge in January.
That's so. Oh, that's what had happened before, right? Before this. And it was
the context for the no cash bail, the fact that Brown had been released on his own recognizance for a prior charge. I know it's a hard word. I have a hard time saying words anyway. And sparked public criticism regarding the handling of the case. So let me see if I can find, you said it was Brian Entenman.
Yeah. So what are they saying then in that second part? They are saying that it was ROR for release on own recognizance is essentially the same as no cash bail, or are they saying it's different? That's what I don't understand.
There were a bunch of warning signs, mental health warning signs. He's reportedly schizophrenic, and then all of these criminal charges over the years. If you go back and look at one of my YouTube videos from a couple weeks ago, I did a whole story on the bail issue in America and how all of these people get out on bail. And this seems to fit
I have heard, because the federal charge has been added, that he's probably going to get the death penalty.
I believe. I mean, even President Trump mentioned this. Did you hear?
Yeah, I have something up on Trump. He weighs in on it a little bit here.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
This morning or last night, I just give my love and hope to the family of the young woman who was stabbed this morning or last night in Charlotte by a madman, a lunatic. Just got up and started. It's right on the tape. Not really watchable because it's so horrible, but just viciously stabbed. She's just sitting there. So they're evil people. We have to be able to handle that. If we don't handle that, we don't have a country.
I agree with him on this, and I don't agree with him on a lot.
This is horrific.
But it's just, we can't let stuff like this happen. We just cannot.
No.
That her employers were warning her.
Best are personally knew Zarutska best are trying to keep her in their thoughts tonight. Zeppedy's Pizzeria, where she worked, posting on Facebook in recent days that she was not only an incredible employee, but also a true friend. They also say since her passing, they've kept a candle burning in her memory as a reminder of the warmth, kindness, and light she brought into lives every day. And
as Lindsay said, the White House came out, and I mean, this is a big deal. It really is a big deal to happen on mass transportation, public transportation, in my opinion.
It's frightening.
And I want to read you this. This just came out. It says, the family of 23-year-old Iryna Zarutska, a Ukrainian refugee who fled war for safety and opportunity in the United States, is now speaking out about her tragic and preventable death on the evening of August 22nd. Iryna was killed in a violent attack while riding the Charlotte area transportation system Blue Line light rail just minutes from her home. Iryna had built a new life in Charlotte, working full-time at a local pizzeria while attending community college to improve her English. She was a kind and hardworking young woman, deeply loved by her family and friends. That night, she texted her boyfriend that she would be home soon. Tragically, her journey ended in violence near the Camden Light Rail Station. Her loved ones became alarmed when she did not arrive to her apartment at the anticipated time, and her phone's location alerted them that she was still at the station. Upon arriving at the station, they were devastated to learn that Iryna had died at the scene. Her death was since drawn national attention following the release of disturbing surveillance footage. The family is urging the public and media to respect her dignity and their grief by not reposting or circulating the footage of her killing. And that's why I did not want to post that part of the footage, because it is just awful. It's awful.
I think it's getting tricky here with people not posting something because a family doesn't want it, or I mean, but then why are we talking about true crime? I get not.
I think we kind of have to. I don't know. I'm kind of confused on this too. I can't I don't know yet.
I've seen some channels, they won't say the name Brian Koberger anymore because they don't want to give him any kind of clout, and they won't show his pictures. And I'm like, but why are we talking about true crime then? Why don't we just stop talking if we're not going to show, or if we're not allowed to say the names? It's just getting to be a lot for me. I hate censorship. I hate it. So
no, I think that everybody should be able to see the real. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. I think it might be important to see how severe these attacks are. I mean, it puts it into perspective of how serious this is.
I mean, there's a line. There was a channel that had an autopsy of a little child up on behind their, one of their pages that was charging money for it to see an autopsy of a child. I think that's going a little too far. But I mean, showing what happened on a bus or saying Schmurder's name, I don't think that's too far.
No, I think we kind of have to and be real about this.
Mm-hmm.
They said, we're heartbroken beyond words. Iryna came here to find peace.
And it does look like Kim, one of my subscribers, she did a quick thing. She delivers DoorDash and listens to me while she's out driving around. I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So she says states with 3-strike laws, while specific implications vary, many states have adopted some versions of a 3-strike law, including Alaska, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida. Oh, so a lot of them. I'm not going to read them all off, but it looks like more than half of them. Yeah.
Wow. That's good.
There's some variations. It looks like definition of a strike. Some laws focus on violent, or like you said, if you rob somebody, violent or serious felonies, while others allow any felony in court as a 3rd strike.
Yeah. Mostly violent charges in my state are.
Horrific way. No family should have to go through this. And now they say that they are seeking accountability and systemic change. The family's immediate priority is to ensure the man responsible for Iryna's murder is brought to justice and remains behind bars. However, they're also calling attention to broader crises in public safety and systemic failures. And this is what they say: a lack of visible or effective security presence on the CATS blue line, failure of oversight in contract between CATS and professional security services, absence of adequate safety measures that could have prevented this tragedy. They say the family is demanding now a full investigation into the circumstances leading up to her death, including lapses in security protocols and failures within the public transportation system. They say this could have been anyone riding the light rail that night. And they've now got this call of action.
So,
and I think that
it wasn't a bus, it was a train, right?
Mm-hmm.
The light rail was a train, not a bus, right? I keep calling it a bus.
I did too. I called it a bus as well. It is a it's like a light rail. That is kind of that is a train, right?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's like a subway type deal and not a bus.
Yeah. I'm gonna look it up. I'm curious.
One of the reasons that so many people are alarmed by this, and why I wanted to do a video on this, is because when you watch it, you realize that this really could have been any of us that use public transportation, whether it be trains, buses. She just sat down on the train and she was just going home. And I know I've seen it. I'm on a subway, I'm on a bus, I'm in the airport. You see people who are mentally ill, who seem dangerous. I think we can all, and I'm going to get into this in this interview coming up with Bobby Chacon, FBI agent, but I say that coming from a place of, like, I have people in my family, my grandma was schizophrenic. So I don't say any of this trying to disparage people who are mentally ill or trying to say that they should be, thrown in asylums or whatever. But at the same time, when they're dangerous, when they're criminals and they commit crimes over and over again, I think it's scary for people. And you see what happened to this innocent woman on the train. So, yeah, that's the latest statement from her family.
Showing the full video, I'm pausing it. Obviously, it's too much. But when you see it,
I think it makes the vast majority of women targets because most of us are smaller than men. So,
yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's so brutal and hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's so unprovoked and so sudden. You have somebody sitting there, living their life, like sitting there looking at their phone without a care in the world, apparently, and to know that death is looming over her shoulder, it's just shocking for everybody to watch. We're seeing something she never did, right? And it's just so upsetting to see that happen.
I don't understand what you mean. How should white women with these charges same amount as red flagged? What does that mean? Take your med, folks. Yeah, take your meds. But when you're sick, I've noticed that they make people feel funny and they take away their brightness to them, and people don't like that, and so it's a constant battle. I'm so glad I don't have a mental illness like that. I have dealt with, being in social work, I've dealt with a lot of people with mental illness, and I had a stalker that was schizophrenic. It was a work stalker, and they're just really hard to deal with because there's no reasoning with it. You can't reason with it if they're not on their meds.
Real time.
And she almost seems like alert at first, and almost like she's crying.
I know.
Yeah, an injury like that, to a major blood vessel in the neck, and I don't know what it is. It could have been the jugular vein. It could have been another major artery. But it's so you're basically dead the moment the wound happens. But it takes a few seconds for you to realize it. And you can see she's sitting there as if almost nothing happened. She's looking around. She's like, she probably feels the wound, but she doesn't know what to do. Now, this guy is still looming over her. He's standing right there. But within seconds, less than a minute, she, devolves. And all of a sudden she goes, she leans over to her right and then right onto the floor, in a pool of blood. And the blood is just, pouring out over the side there. And you see it.
I haven't seen that. Have you?
Yes. That's when they came over. So she's, I don't know that she knew really or understood. I think she was in shock. I mean, I would assume that, right? But so she didn't grab her neck or anything, I don't think. She kind of like, I think she like touched her shirt or something. I cannot remember.
I saw this part where she was like this and she was kind of like this and looked around but I didn't see her fall over. And then she fell over. She was still
doing that when she fell. I don't remember. She might have been. I don't know. For some reason, I have it in my head that she wasn't, but maybe she was.
I noticed she had her glasses on, and then after it happened, she had her glasses off, and she was kind of like this. And then
she slumped over and fell into the front of the seat, and there was blood everywhere. You could see it then. And then people from the back of the bus or the front of the bus, I don't know, or it's not a bus. Okay, the light rail, whatever it's called, rushed over.
So people finally did rush to her. Well, that's good, I guess.
Yeah, and I think what they were saying is it was probably too late because she probably lost an enormous amount of blood. From what
you could see the blood on the floor and on her, and then I did see the video where he was walking and pacing, and there was blood all around where he was.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, he got her 4 times. I just can't even.
And it was very fast. I mean, so fast that like, I don't know. I wonder, I think the people around, did you see that when the people were kind of responding or reacting to it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we're stuck. I don't know if they realized or didn't know what to do or just didn't even know. I don't know.
Well, I took a few screenshots, and so this was after he did it. This was him just sitting behind her, getting ready to do it. And then, that's you. So
the ones behind him too did get up and walk away. I mean, they had to have seen it behind him. I mean, they had to have.
Yeah. Well, in the video that I showed at the beginning, we see the guy right there, like looking at the blood on the ground. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just want to get out of that place.
Okay, so I guess my point is how to red flag people with potential future acts. I just think you have to be very aware of your surroundings. I saw Kim say that don't, sit with anybody behind you. But there were no side. You couldn't sit along the side. You had to sit in a stadium type seating.
Right. I don't know that you can really say. I think that's what makes it so scary. Because I mean, what I think is it starts with the incarceration. I mean, and we obviously can't prevent mental illness in people or what they're going to do, but we can keep them. I mean, whether it be a psych institute or in jail, I don't know. Or maybe they're out on meds or something else. But if they continue to like 14 times, I mean, 13 before this, look at what Kim said. Past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's not hard to see that maybe he shouldn't be let out before having another psych thing that he didn't do, I don't know. That would just be my guess.
I think you're right. And we've gotten to a point where we don't want to restrict people's freedoms, but when you're not mentally sane, you have to protect the sane people out there. It's like a fine line. It's such a fine line.
Because how else could you, as that woman couldn't have done anything, in my opinion. I don't know what unless I've done that before where I don't want to sit with anybody behind me, but I felt like I had to and she kind of looked like she was nervous sitting there, didn't she?
She looked really nervous, and she was just trying to get into her phone so that, because he was right there up on her, right behind her. He was very close to her.
And they didn't say one word to each other either. It's fascinating.
It's very fascinating because he was right there. If you can see, he was right there.
Did you find a report of him talking to his sister on the phone?
No. What kind of report?
I would see if you could Google it. It was a video where you could, or not a video. Well, it was a video, but it's an audio of his supposed sister on the phone with him saying, "You just killed that girl."
Here's something on the mother, sister of Charlotte stabbing suspect describe history of mental illness. Let's see. Here's his sister speaking out.
Yeah. I think this is it.
So it says DeCarlos Brown Jr. told his sister he unalived Ukraine refugee Iryna, I have a hard time saying her last name, because he thought she read his mind.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Maybe they'll have the audio.
These are all his mugshots. Brown revealed to CNN her brother believed the government implanted a chip in his brain.
That's definitely schizophrenia, but
yeah, that's definitely.
But how come they're the only ones saying this? I didn't hear it anywhere else. That's weird.
Look how scared she is.
I know.
It breaks my heart for her.
I know. Because I just imagine myself instantly being her.
Yes, I can feel myself right there.
Yeah.
She told CNN that DeCarlos showed signs of mental deterioration and paranoia before the incident occurred.
There we go. And that's a common thing that I've had people say.
And he was just like out on no bail. Brown's aggressive behavior worsened after his 2022 release from prison for a 5-year armed robbery.
Yeah.
And he got out early.
Sad.
Tracy described how DeCarlos struggled to hold conversations, maintain a regular job after his release, and became aggressive. Well, he was on parole, wasn't he?
I mean, yeah, for a while. So how did nobody know this?
The mother tried to get him placed in long-term mental care, but lacked legal guardianship rights to do so.
Oh, because he's over 18, she'd have to get guardianship. Okay, yeah. I think you have to petition the court, but I don't know how difficult that would be.
But when you're on parole, aren't you still a ward of the state? So it just seems like they should be able to do something.
I feel like he probably had that part of his stipulations as part of his sentence. I would guess. I mean, in Florida, that's like, I've seen so many people getting sentenced with that in their sentence. Like it throws in, have to get a substance abuse or mental health evaluation and pursue treatment if told to. I mean, many charges are like that.
I think this lady is talking about the North Carolina magistrate judge Teresa Stokes granted the release of DeCarlos Brown, a homeless man charged with the brutal stabbing of Ukrainian refugee Iryna Zarutska.
Yeah, you said it.
Following his arrest in January. So she talks about it a little bit.
A 3-year-old woman was murdered in a vicious attack on a North Carolina train. And the background of the alleged murderer is causing a fury. On August 22nd, 23-year-old Iryna Zarutska, who escaped the war in Ukraine by moving to the U.S., was on her way home from a shift at a pizzeria when she was stabbed to death on the train. The suspect is DeCarlos Brown Jr. Video surveillance released by police shows the moment Zarutska gets on the train and sits down in front of Brown, who pulls out a pocket knife and jumped out of his seat. The video stops just as he is about to lunge and stab her. Surveillance then shows Brown getting off the train with blood dripping from his pocket knife, and passengers, they appear oblivious to this whole situation. Brown was then taken to the hospital.
Appear oblivious to me. The guy's walking right by her, looking at her.
One of the guys says, "There's blood, bro," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you hear him kind of say it. He's like, and he said, "What, got that white girl?" And then he said, "Yeah, there's blood, bro." Like he didn't hear him say that, I guess. So he repeated it, and then I don't know if he repeated it again, but he like left. And then they looked at the ground, and then they started running, but it was too late.
Yeah.
It was like, why is the last person that does anything the last one to hear it? You know what I mean? Like, why does it go that far?
I don't know.
People that saw it were like, I don't want to be a part of this. They dipped. They don't want to be witnesses to anything else. I bet you anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And she just died there alone on a train alone, knowing she was alone.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't know. I wonder how long it took. It couldn't have taken long. I mean,
no, I don't think it did.
Too bad, but sooner than
I
later.
don't think she had a chance because it was so fast.
Yeah, it probably was.
Just like the Charlie when he got shot in the neck, I think it was pretty instant for him. They said there was just so much blood.
It was, yeah.
So I forgot. Let's watch Jumpsuit, some of his, and then we'll move on to Charlie.
I'm interested
After stabbing her for simply being a white woman on a Charlotte, North Carolina train. In the footage, you can see where she slowly realizes her life is now fading away. And for what?
Okay, this is perfect.
So she still doesn't realize it, do you? Right there?
No, I don't think I think it was a pretty, like, she didn't realize, like, what was that? She was probably thinking, right? Like, wow, what was that? And she was probably in shock, and he was right there. Like, is he going to come back? What's going to happen? And she's looking around like, what's you going to, like, did anyone see this? What's, oh.
Charlotte, North Carolina train. In the footage, you can see where she slowly realizes her life is now fading away. And for what? While Carlos walks around the train full of joy at what he's just done. But he won't be walking around full of joy for long, because once he gets to prison, karma will be catching up to him. I've looked more into his past and his affiliations and his associations and everything about him, probably more than anyone else on the internet right now. And I can tell you with full confidence, as someone who has served 10 years recently in Carolina state prisons, which is where he's going, what I discovered leaves no doubt in my mind that he will get exactly what he gave once behind bars. Metal entering his body, gang ties, frowned upon charges, deadly enemies, and more. I'll explain everything. Let's get started.
Be sure to give this live a thumbs up.
Helps me go out into the algorithm party out there. Bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help me out.
I like him.
I do too. I really like. There's a few prison people that I like. You're one of them. I like Christina Randall. I like him. Yeah. There's a few other too.
The other guy you introduced me to too. I started following him. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's good, and I can't. He's there's. I can't think of his name though. It's like Viking something. Can't think of his name.
No.
Guidelines. So you get what I mean. He doesn't have those charges. He's got a lot of charges. He's got a wide range of charges, and he's done 6 years in prison. If you didn't know, in 2015, he was sentenced to 6 years in North Carolina State Prison. I have researched extensively within those prisons and using good keywords. I know how to find this information. Trust me. There's no report of him ever being physically assaulted within that prison during those 6 years. Now, these 6 years will be monumentally important in just a few minutes when we get to that. They are going to be the catalyst for where he's at now. Trust me, just hang tight. But point is, he has no charges in the past that have caused him issues with other inmates. And these new charges, yes, I understand. Regular, normal, sane people will be like, you stabbed an innocent woman for nothing. You are a piece of crap. You are scum. I don't like you. I hate you. You deserve some type of kind of vigilante prison justice. I get that. He's not going to get that for that reason. For that reason. No one's going to go out of their way to attack him because of what he will be in prison for. Murdering an adult woman. And I know TV shows, movies, Netflix, and even other grandiose prison-based creators have sold you this lie that, oh, inmates, they got this code of honor and they really hate when you hurt women. 90% of people in there have beaten the crap out of their baby mama, no matter whether they're in there for that or not. Probably not, but just aside from that, they've beaten the crap out of their baby mama at least once, maybe twice. They don't pay child support. They don't take care of their kids. They don't care about their girl. They've cheated on her 10, 15 times. And 50% of inmates, and you can Google this, if you really want to test me, if you really want to test my knowledge, you can Google this. About 50%, half the inmates in any given prison in any state are known for, I'm just going to call it indecent exposure within prison. They pull out their little winky non-consensually whenever any woman.
Nothing like that happened in the female prisons. No women ever tried to expose themselves. I mean, I know it's a stupid question, but did anything?
Not that I saw. So it very well could have been happening outside of where I was. I just didn't see it anywhere.
I don't care if you're 26 or 126 and you're a female corrections officer and you come around and you're just doing your little rounds to make sure everything's okay. They pull out their little winky and start pleasuring themselves right there in front of you. And they hold their breath and cross their fingers that you will be okay with that. And a lot of...
We're going to move on. And so he talks a lot about that. And then he starts talking about his tattoo, his hornet tattoo that he has right on his chest.
Being and claiming to be from Charlotte. He's in Mecklenburg County, which has Charlotte is a city within it. He claims Charlotte. Now, him being from there, you may say, oh, he has a Charlotte Hornet tattoo on his throat because he's proud to be from the Charlotte area. Well, with people like this, to be honest, it's never that, I'd love for it to be that simple, but it's not. It never is. And as we see here, this is actually from like a government FBI, CIA gang task force informative website. They are letting you know this is just a small snippet that applies to him. This is from a full page of gangs and, as you see here, related images, phrases and character references that have to do with that gang, Bloods, Crips, etc., etc. I've just zeroed in on this because it applies to Mr. DeMarcus. He has a Charlotte Hornet tattoo. This is affiliated with the Imperial Gangsters, aka IG. And you see similar symbols, Pink Panther. That's because originally the gang colors were pink and black of this gang, and so they went with the Pink Panther. That's why you see pink and black and stuff there. You see pink and black, and then you see Charlotte Hornets. This is a government website giving you this information. Now, we look it up. It says it appears the query is referencing a connection between the almighty Imperial Gangsters Nation and the Charlotte Hornets. A document titled Gang Signs from lps.org, that is a government website, notes that the Imperial Gangsters are associated with the Charlotte Hornets. This reference likely relates to the gang colors or symbols, as the Imperial Gangsters colors are pink and black, which match the original colors of the Charlotte Hornets.
Oh.
Pablo, I see what you're saying. Maybe a little bit, but that's kind of a stretch. No, it's not. Trust me. There's more.
Do you think it's a stretch?
I found his Facebook.
No, I think he's absolutely 100% correct. I think that he's going to be all right in prison now.
Yeah.
Profiles. There's 2 of them. In those 2, he has many photos of himself, and then he is also tagged in photos from other people who are his close family members and associates. One of these associates is this guy. He goes by the name Black Magic, and interestingly enough, you'll notice the spelling is all off technically for the 2 words Black Magic. This is gang spelling. For example, black, you see it's just BLAC. Now, if he was a Crip, he would spell it BLACC instead of BLACK. The reason is CK, any word that has the 2 letters together to where you get a C and a K right beside each other, like black. CK stands for Crip Killer. So no Crip would ever spell their words to where there's a C and a K typed out. They would do BLACC because Crips, they kind of value, as you can imagine, the letter C because that's what the word Crip starts with. It's as stupid as and as simple as that. But so there are not 2 C's here. So this indicates he is not a Crip. There's just 1 C, but there is no K. Now, if he was a Blood, there would only be K's. There would be no C's in this name whatsoever because Bloods will always replace every C within a word with a K. Because, C in the gang world stands for Crips. Sorry to give you, I know you're not here for a big rundown and 101 lesson on gang culture. I'm just trying to verify and show you, it's like when you take a test in school, show your work so I know you didn't cheat on your test. I'm showing you my work as to how I've come to these conclusions and why I have this information, which ultimately boils down to what is going to happen to this sick piece of crap in prison. Okay. Trust me, it's all irrelevant. Now, Black Magic, BLAC. This is because he is not a Blood, or he wouldn't use a C at all. He is not a Crip, or he would use BLACC. He would replace every K with C.
My head wants to explode.
He is what's known as a G. This, if you think of it as a tree stump, the tree stump is Folk Nation. Tree stumps grow into trees and they get branches, limbs, and leaves. Folk Nation grows and they have branches, limbs, and leaves, which are other smaller little branch off sub gangs. Okay. From Folk Nation, which is essentially gangster disciples, you have insane gangster disciples, imperial gangster disciples, Satan's disciples, insane disciples, this and this and this, black disciples, insane black disciples. I mean, the list goes on and on, but they're all a part of the same tree stump, which is Folk Nation. That's the most simple way I can put it. So there are some core things anyone who has grown from this tree stump follows. And that is why I'm able to get the indicators here that this is who this person is affiliated with at its core.
He did good.
I'm sorry, what?
He did good. I'm surprised.
Yeah, he did good. He goes on and he talks about the symbols that they're making. And he also points out that he knows all of this because when he was in prison, he's in the same gang.
Oh, okay.
But I will link this for you guys. He talks about the symbols, the way that this particular gang, when it's, when you go out into the yard, you don't go like, hey guys, I'm part of the Crip Nation. You go out and you stand a particular way, and that lets them know that you're part of this gang. And so he's standing in a particular way. And then he also goes on to point out that he's wearing the bandana color they've taken on this gang that he's in, takes on this black bandana gang color. So not only is he wearing the black bandana shirt, but he's got pants full of the black bandana.
Yeah.
So he just goes on to talk about that he's in this really dangerous gang. And let me move it forward and let him bring it home for you.
He'd be fine in prison because no one cares about his charges. That his charges are not something that violates the rules of that gang to where he would have issues. He would be embraced and he would honestly have some power. He would be a part of a gang, and yeah, he'd have a force behind him. He'd live life as comfortably as you could in prison, which isn't that comfortable, but you get what I mean. Nobody's coming for his head in there. If he's not in that gang, still, he was born and raised in this Charlotte, Mecklenburg area. His cousins, his brothers, his best friends, they are members of a gang. And sometimes that's all it takes. You don't even have to be a member of a gang. You go in there and be like, oh yeah, am I in your gang? No, but me and my cousin, Johnny McGee, Black Magic, we're Mr. Black Magic. He is. Oh, they get on the phone with Black Magic. Hey man, you know this guy's this? Yeah, that's my cousin, man. Take care of him, man. That's my cousin. I love him to death, man. Take care of him. Yeah, he's not in the gang, but take care of him. He's real important to me. Do that for me. They will, and he'll be fine. That is how it goes, and that is how it should go for DeMarcus. But guess what? It's not going to. I'm going to tell you why. The short story is, I wholeheartedly believe he had gang ties and affiliations at one point in his life, but he no longer has any of them. And I think it all started in 2015 when he did get sentenced to 6 years in prison. Now, from articles, these are verified medical, diagnoses that are confirmed. He has been diagnosed with schizophrenia and other mental health issues. Obviously, absolutely not excusing what he did because of these mental health things, but this is relevant because I think from what we've seen, that started right around the time that he first got sent to prison. And before, he was very involved in the street life, the gang culture, and very social. And he was hanging out with people and throwing up gang signs, taking pictures, and, living the street life. No schizophrenia. And they also, have confirmed he was a homeless man at the time of this brutal stabbing on the victim. He was homeless. You're a homeless man, you're schizophrenic, you got mental health issues. I mean, he has declined rapidly over the years from where he was based off the social media presence that we are able to see and that I was able to find of him. And so I think it really all started with, he was just a career criminal, living the street life, doing what criminals do when they live the street life, getting locked up again and again and again. Sometimes it's something not so serious, sometimes it is. But he met his match in 2015 when he got sentenced to 6 years in prison. Those, I believe, though, based on all the evidence I've showed you, this, I'm not just saying it to say it. I'm not just rambling and going on about nothing. This is all leading to this point. Those 6 years are where we see some social media evidence. And based on my experience, I really have a gut feeling this is where his decline started. I think those 6 years destroyed his mind. I don't know what happened to him during those 6 years. I don't know what his experience was, but it wasn't good. I mean, many inmates go and get hooked on substances like K2 and like mind-altering drugs. I'm not talking about your classic tried and true cocaine and weed, weird.
Also schizophrenia. He could have developed the schizophrenia during that time because it develops in different times in men and women. Usually men, it happens around earlier than it does women. So was he 30 years old? So
I can't even remember.
He would have been somewhere in his early 20s. So I mean, his schizophrenia could have been developing at this or showing at this time.
Right.
So that
for
too.
sure.
Stuff that you get in prison, these weird substances and pills and just things to smoke, spice, and just
substances can make schizophrenia develop, or it can make it progress faster, come forward faster too. So that could have been happening. So
yeah, big time.
I've seen people lose their freaking mind back there, and I think in those 6 years he started to slowly decline, lose his mind, and as he did, he lost more and more street credibility. He lost more and more status within his hood, with amongst his people, his gang members, or his buddies who were gang members, if he wasn't a gang member, who were
I know where he's going,
embracing him.
Damn.
And started to slowly notice over these 6 years, man, he's kind of wee woo, he's kind of losing it, man, and he lost all of that. Which explains why he would come home 6 years later. This was 2015. He comes home, 2021? He's homeless for several years now.
Maybe he was starting to lose it in prison, and they were like, let's get him out of here, because they probably didn't want to have to take care of him for 3 more years. That could be a possibility too.
That's wild.
And that's even more enough time for, you know how it deteriorates a person to be homeless. Again, not making excuses. I'm just giving logic, This timeline adds up. I think someone like him, if you're homeless, brother, it's because you deserve to be, because you have burnt all your bridges and you've probably done people wrong and you've probably done like messed up stuff and karma has come back to get you. I am not sympathetic because, he's a homeless person. Let's excuse what he did. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to put it in perspective here. The timeline adds up. He comes home after those 6 years, and then for a few more years after that, right around the COVID time, which is actually funny enough, right around the time I got out of prison, he declines more and more schizophrenic, more crazy. Then ultimately he has no one, to where he's hanging out on the train and sees a attractive young white woman and gets angry. Why do you think he did? Why do you think that made him so angry? Why do you think that flipped a switch in him to become murderous? To just see a normal white woman minding her business, going about her life on the train. This is this slow mental decline and the realization of how fast he's headed to and maybe already hit rock bottom in his own life. He stood up and murdered her and took her life because he was jealous of her life, because he's so disgusted with what his own life has become and how far he's fallen, which you were never that high up there in the first place before you fell, Point is, once he goes to prison, this mental health thing, you're not going to be embraced by a gang. And here's why. There's a term that exists. If you never heard of it, you can Google it. It's called prison politics. It's very similar to just regular politics. When you have several deadly, dangerous, vicious, violent groups of criminals in one small building, it gets to a point where, hey, you know what? We will all just kill each other. We have to figure out some rules, regulations, and guidelines, and even policies, you could call it, to kind of like keep peace and order and prevent that from happening. And as long as everyone abides by that and we can all agree on what those should be and everyone sticks to that, we can all get along. That's usually how it is, until you have someone break those.
Yeah.
But prison politics are very intricate, just as regular politics just in America are. To for a gang who would formerly, before he lost his mind and started being crazy and schizophrenic and psychopathic and murderous, before that, for a gang that took him in, whether you are one of us officially or you're just very closely associated with or related to prominent members of this gang, which I'm telling you now that you can be a nobody. I'm not in a gang, but my brother is a member of your gang. That gang will take care of you just on behalf of the fact that your relative is a member. They will do that. Makes sense? It gets to a point where if your mental health deteriorates to the point where his has, you are a liability. You are unpredictable. We cannot rely on you to follow the politics, the policies, the rules, the regulations, and the guidelines. We can't count on that. We will wake up any given morning and you won't overstep some boundary and cross a line and disrespect someone and do something absolutely outrageous. Or like what? Oh, I don't know. Well, just for example, stand up on a freaking train and stab an innocent woman you don't even know in the neck until she dies. Yeah, that type of thing. We can't count on that. And so we cannot embrace you and take you in and kind of treat you as more or less one of us because you may do something that compromises us by association, by affiliation with you, because we are cool with you, because we hang out with you, because we talk to you, because we kind of take you under our wing. If you do the kind of action that you're now known to do, that could put all of our actual gang members in a world of hurt and could cause us to lose our life as a repercussion. Gang members will not take that chance, especially.
So he's basically saying that he's just too crazy for us, for the gang. No.
Excellent point.
This stop is Stanley Park Station. Please exit right. Please stand clear. Doors are closing. Train is about to move. This stop is East West Boulevard Station. Please exit right.